Well, it seems we have a free speech issue almost every day here in Latvia. A few days ago, a committee or commission of the City Council of Riga decided that it was okay to have the first Baltic Gay Pride parade on May the 16th on Saturday. Everything was okay. And in fact, the police authorities said that there were no threats or no situations that could lead to disorder or violence connected with this, that they would have everything under control. Well, 34 members of the Riga City Council from almost all parties except the for human rights in Latvia, PCTVL, whatever that translates to, all signed a letter asking that this decision by the Commission be rescinded or reviewed, and it is going to be reviewed on the 14th of May. Of course, if the march is forbidden, it's most likely that there will be a court case against the city of Riga, and of course an international scandal, because the issue really isn't whether one likes or dislikes gays or any of that. And I'll frankly say that I find it hard to imagine being, gay or something like that. But that doesn't mean that these people do not have the same rights to the freedom of speech and freedom of assembly as anyone else for whatever cause. And it seems to be some kind of a mental blockage, a serious, almost socially inherited problem here that people don't understand, and excuse the expression, they simply don't understand what the fuck democracy is all about. Uh, and that gets very frustrating about Latvia. People keep coming up with the most incredible crackpot theories that you can be convinced or sort of persuaded to change your sexual orientation, that there are weird conspiracies behind all of this, that this is the culture of death is coming, and that to be a minority-oriented or non-heterosexual person, you're automatically a pedophile, and that people will be bringing animals to town, and that there'll be all kinds of wild exhibitionism, which of course has happened in a few other places in the world and in different contexts, but never happened here, and it's unlikely to happen here for a very long time, if at all. But all of this, argument that has anything to do with the reason and anything to do with a kind of real perspective on what's going on in the world and knowledge of how these things work elsewhere, any argument that has any of those aspects is simply rejected out of hand. It's as if we are dealing with a medieval mob of somehow superstitious peasants, the people who we see in the Frankenstein movies, running up toward the castle with the torches and the pitchforks. Except there's no Frankenstein in the torch in the castle, and the issue is simply to let people gather and express a point of view that may be offensive or strange to many people. Well, we'll see how it all goes. One of the subscribers to my free speech blog, and I suppose the listener to the last recording that I made to this issue on this issue, was left a comment saying that I shouldn't call Latvia a third world banana republic and all that stuff. Well, okay, maybe not. And he said that this happens elsewhere in Eastern Europe. Well, then Eastern Europe is a kind of maybe it's a kind of third world backwards Eastern continent. Maybe it should never have been let into the European Union. Although, having not having done so, not having let this part of the world into the European Union, things would be even worse. We would probably have an authoritarian dictatorship in several of the new EU countries. So, either way, you sort of bring in the sort of the torch and pitchfork carrying peasants and try to deal with them, or you leave them out there and they all they learn how to do is to make brighter torches and bigger pitchforks. and then eventually become dangerous to you in one way or another. But I just simply want to remind everyone that in 18 years between, say, 1950 and 1968, there were enormous societal changes, even in the United States, which is a very conservative society, kind of Leave It to Beaver families and Ozzie and Harriet, and everyone sort of put on a suit and went to work, and mom stayed home and cooked in 1950 and by 1968, and this was when I was growing up. By the time that I turned 18 in the 60s, there was a complete reevaluation of a lot of values. There was the anti-war movement. There were a lot of things going on that were radically changing society. I mean, which was evidence that in 18 years you can turn things completely around. And now Latvia has been not formally independent for at least that long, yet it seems incapable of making that kind of change, especially when, at least for the last 10 years, this country has had it's been part of the information revolution. It's had the internet. It's had unprecedented access to different points of view, to seeing what the world is like elsewhere, because we have also satellite television, cable television, all of that. Nothing's changed, or little has changed. There's a sort of small liberal elite, and I'm sure that many of those people will go to the Pride event on Saturday. I've seen them there before, but the rest are either indifferent, presently perhaps because of the economic situation, or they are literally sort of foaming at the mouth, screaming religious fanatics, a lot of whom look like they're middle-class people. This is what was seen at the event last year at the beginning of June. So what can you say? I mean, I think this is just another kind of indicator of the almost hopelessness of trying to do something with a really screwed up post-Soviet society that is actually, in some masochistic way, happy about being a really screwed up post-Soviet society, and sort of scoffs at anybody who says to them that maybe you should try thinking differently or changing. Well, I don't know. Also brings back thoughts. Maybe one should have a plan B about whether one wants to be in this place at all.